Hello and welcome back to the Championship Lowdown. My name's Elliott. I've had a shave since last time I was on here. And I'm here with Ollie, who's better known as a div, according to the YouTube comments.
Absolute div. I've also had a shave. We're matching tashes today.
We are. That was not deliberate. That was not planned. We're the Mario Brothers. Just like to say thank you to whoever it was who called you a div in the comments last week, because that has kept us amused for at least 7 days now. Yeah, today we're previewing the weekend's games, and I think we'll just go straight into it because it's why wait. We're going to go for the biggest game at the top end of the table, we suspect, which is Ipswich versus Southampton. Both teams relegated last season from the Premier League into the Championship this season. Big money, big names, big teams. What do you foresee happening in this game?
I mean, judging from last weekend, they both scraped results in the end, didn't they? I mean, whether Ipswich did it fairly or not is to be seen. I mean, they weren't very good against the Blues, were they? Let's be honest. I thought Birmingham did a great job, sort of keeping them to not very many attempts on goal at all. Really, was it? I mean, I thought
their only shot on target was the penalty in the last minute.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, after the way they were bigged up in the sort of the predictions for the start of the season, they didn't really reflect any of that. I thought they were quite lethargic. I thought they were pretty poor from a McKenna side. I didn't really recognise much about them. But obviously, they're going into this week's game, which is going to be, I reckon it'll be quite cagey at first. This, to be frank, I think they'll probably sort of cancel each other out. But I actually fancy Southampton to get a win. I think they've got a bit of quality. I think they'll push on. So many attempts last week against Wrexham, but I just think that Southampton might have a little bit more. They certainly look to have got up and running a little bit quicker. Yeah, what do you think? Obviously, I was
going to say the same thing. I thought when I watched the Southampton, I missed the first half an hour of the Wrexham-Southampton game, where apparently Wrexham were a lot better. But from what I saw, Southampton dominated them, with far and away the better team. I mean, obviously, it's completely different stature, and this will be a much bigger test. But I was not impressed by Ipswich. I think they've got a lot of business still to do. Obviously, they're still waiting almost for Amari Hutchinson to go before they can replace him and spend all that money. Whereas I think Southampton are just a little bit further along in their team building, and I think they look like a better team last week, which is all we have to go off at the moment. There's not a whole lot of data. Ipswich also lost in the cup, but I don't put too much stock in that. But yeah, no, yeah, exactly. I think Southampton missed a boatload of chances against Wrexham. Yeah, they keep creating like that, they'll be well up there and well in with a shout, winning the league. And this is this is away at what you imagine will be the other team in the top two. This is a big game for both teams this early on in the season, it feels like. So this one is one you sort of have to watch. But I agree with you. I do think Southampton looked better than Ipswich last week, and that's the only data we have. And I'll go for a close Southampton win, and say I think it'll be quite close and cagey as well.
I think in my score predictions I predicted 1-0 to Southampton, so I think it will be a close sort of cagey, cancel each other out type of affair. But I think, like we say, Southampton just seem to have that a little bit more gelling at the moment. But obviously, McKenna, you can get this team playing. They're a good side. They're going to be there or thereabouts, aren't they? So obviously, first game at home as well. So it could go either way, but I just think Southampton might scrape.
Yeah, that would be what I was going to say as well. We're both in agreement on that one. Probably the game of the weekend for a neutral, in terms of stature. Whether or not it'll be the game of the weekend in terms of what we actually see on the pitch is up for debate. That one is a midday kickoff on Sunday, but there's a lot of games on Saturday, and one of the early ones is Wrexham versus West Bromwich Albion. Now, this is quite an interesting one because I don't really know exactly what to expect from either of these teams. Obviously, West Brom with a brand new manager started off pretty well-ish last week. Wrexham, as we've just touched on, lost to Southampton, but started well. There were signs that they can compete at this level. how do you what do you think's happening in this one?
Well, I got a snapshot of Wrexham, didn't I, on Tuesday night, because we were up against them in the EFL Cup, and
Yep.
genuinely, I'm not even exaggerating here, we played them off the park for 85 minutes. And 3-1 up going into the 90th minute, the game's done and dusted, isn't it? And it's only because we fell asleep and just let them back into that game and let them go through on penalties, which was just brain dead. They didn't offer a great deal against us. So I'm obviously going on a 90-minute match that I've seen with them. They didn't offer a massive amount. Didn't really impress me a great deal. But they dug in and got a result at the end. So not seen a great deal of West Brom. I think we touched upon it in the preview, didn't we? Where they're quite an exciting side. I think once they get a roll on, I think they're going to take some stopping. I think I've gone again for an away win this time. I think I've gone Wrexham just to fall short here. Because, like I say, I think West Brom have got too much attacking prowess. And if our game against Wrexham was anything to go on, I think obviously West Brom have got probably a superior attacking threat than what we've got, and I've gone for West Brom to win 2-1.
I don't think there's much probably about it. I think they definitely have more
goals, mate.
threat than you.
No one suspected that.
What I will say is, as outspoken as I've been about thinking Wrexham are going to struggle this year in the Championship, I don't think they're going to be a particularly good team. Their home form for like 3 years has been absolutely unbelievable. They do not generally lose at home much, so I can see them getting a draw here against what is still a pretty, an inexperienced manager. And I don't mean that like, I mean like, one of the difficulties of being a new manager is like navigating difficult away games against teams who are hard to beat, who will sit in and will make things difficult for you, and it will be loud and it'll be hostile and it will not be an easy game to win. I kind of foresee that being a 1-1 or a 2-2. Wrexham always get a penalty in the home games as well.
Be a baptism for Ryan Mason. I think he'll go there and see some decent atmosphere there. I think obviously coming off the back of that win against us in midweek, they're going to have some confidence. So, I think you could be right with a draw. I think it'll be a close game, but like I said, I just think West Brom might just edge it.
Yeah, I think West Brom will be a much superior team. I just think Wrexham's home form is so, like, they are difficult to beat at home, and they will make that game
and they stick to the end
ugly. Yeah, they do. They won so many games late on last year as well. Like it's uncanny. Slight difference of opinion on that one. But I think we both have very similar thoughts about Hull coming into the season, even though you would think you might be a little bit more optimistic. But Oxford at home on Sunday, that on paper looks quite winnable.
Probably coming at a good time for us. I mean, like I said, I was impressed with our performance at Coventry. We looked resolute. We looked hard to beat. We limited them to very few chances. They maybe should have had a penalty. But, they didn't. And you got to beat what's in front of you. And I thought we actually stuck in that game for a long period of time. And we maybe could have even won it if we'd have had a bit of confidence in ourselves going forward in that game. But I think Jukurovic, he obviously set up in that game for a point. They might have accused us of wasting time from pretty early on in that second half. But like I said, to go to Coventry first game of the season and come away with a point, I was quite pleased with that. Then, like I said, to back it up with the performance that we did at Wrexham during the week, I thought Giles and Drama on the right and left wing backs coming forward pretty well.
No, I love Cody Drama.
They're going to feed into McBurney, and obviously he's proved it already. Just getting in behind that, getting off the shoulder of the defender and putting one away. I think that could be real pivotal for us this season, especially with Geldart coming off the back of McBurney. I think we've got quite a lot of attacking threat, to be fair. We look quite good. Obviously, Lundstrom holding. I think we're going to be tough to break down, certainly for these teams who are meant to be in and around us. I think, obviously, Oxford will be really disappointed with their performance last week against Portsmouth. Portsmouth going away and winning. It doesn't happen very often in the Championship, but I think it's probably a good time for us to play these. We should be quite high in confidence given our performance levels. I've gone for us to win 2-0.
Yeah, the only thing that sort of Rowett has always had a problem playing against teams who are supposed to be around him in the league, who aren't as good, who don't want the ball. But from what I've seen of Hull, you are quite like, you will want the ball, you will want to go and score goals, and that does sort of play into the way Oxford play. But yeah, as I say, I think Hull have been started the season in slightly better shape than anyone sort of expected. Like, I think we kind of all expected them to look a bit dodgy. So far, I mean, there's a little bit of that soft underbelly you saw against Wrexham, but again, it's the cup. How seriously do you take it? I can see Oxford getting a goal on the counter early on and Hull maybe nicking it 2-1. I think it's one of those, because it's this early in the season, you're just sort of getting you're setting your sights. But actually, if this came in the second half of the season, you might be looking at this as like a really, really important game. So it's almost like you don't want to lose this game, because you might be looking back at the second half of the season and going, "Oh, we hadn't lost at home to Oxford." Like, it's one of those games.
We actually lost at home to Oxford last season.
Yeah, well, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, we're not going to have Ajayi fit, which is not going to be a surprise for many people. He's obviously, a lot of people said when we signed him that he's got knees made of glass. It's apparently a hamstring injury, so it'll be an interesting one to see how we sort of line up at the back. Well, obviously, Charlie Hughes has been fantastic first couple of games. There's no wonder he's linked with a move away. Hopefully, we can keep hold of him, because he's an amazing talent. But maybe Famuyiwa, I can't even say his name, Famuyiwa, he might come in at centre half alongside Charlie Hughes. But obviously, we do need to change it up a little bit, which is maybe where we fell short a little bit certainly for Wrexham's first goal in midweek. That could be something Oxford plays into Oxford's hands a little bit, but hopefully we'll get the win.
Yeah, I think we both foresee a Hull win, but I wouldn't be totally surprised if Oxford really spoil that game and make it difficult one for you to win, and then you've really got to get into that sort of creative zone, and I'm not sure quite how much guile you have once the game gets all gummed up, but we shall see. If we go on to my team now, Blackburn Rovers at home to Birmingham City. Now this one, but I think one team is fully expecting their team to I've seen the Blackburn fans, they're fully expecting their team to lose. Our fans, as I'm sure everyone at the Championship Lowdown knows, our fans can be quite aggressive with how high our expectations are for this season. Unfortunately, I do agree we should be winning this game, even though it's an away game, even though it's early on in the season. We have looked against Ipswich, we looked excellent. Against Sheffield United in the Cup, with a few changes, we looked excellent. My sort of concern, not even concern, I was I think I said on the season preview, if Kyogo Furuhashi looks anywhere near as good as he did in Scotland, in England, we'll be perfectly fine. And so far, he has looked electric. I mean, he's missed some chances.
Outstanding against Ipswich. They really struggled to keep hold of him.
He did exactly the same against Sheffield United, except he missed a lot of chances. But to me, it's he's not going to keep missing those. If he just keeps getting in space, if he just keeps getting that half yard off the centre half, he's going to start putting them in the top corner sooner or later. Blackburn, their fans are not expecting much. They've lost quite a few players, and there's talk that they're going to lose more. They do look a little out of shape, a little out of shape is wrong, but they're not quite ready for the season to start. And I think we seriously are quite ready right now. Yeah. I think we've hit the ground running. It's hard to just say, oh yeah, we're going to win away from home as a newly promoted team, but I think we're going to win away from home as a newly promoted team.
Like I say, I mean, I thought Birmingham were outstanding against Ipswich. I thought they were superb. Kyogo was fantastic. I thought Stansfield, obviously, after a couple more weeks, he'll have been putting all those chances away. But you give him more chances like that, and he's going to end up with a hat full of goals this season. So like I say, the way he played that game was just phenomenal. I thought especially against a team like Ipswich, just to play them off the park. Really impressed me. I thought you'd be a good start this season, but you surprised me how good you looked. Blackburn, I think maybe looking at my season prediction of 8th might be a little bit optimistic for them.
8th?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But, yeah, like you said, they look a little bit all over the place, don't they? They don't really have a great deal of structure. Obviously, first home game of the season, Ewood Park's generally a tough place to go. But apparently you've sold 7,000 tickets or something like that to fill that away.
Yes. Yeah, we're bringing
like
7,000. So
you guys,
it's not even an away game. Yeah, it's just I've seen home games where we fought less than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think the way that Birmingham have started, I can't see anything but a Birmingham win. I think it'll be a relatively close scoring game. I think Blackburn might sneak a goal, but I think I've gone 2-1 in my predictions to Birmingham. But I just fancy Birmingham to do what they did to Ipswich, really, and just carry on doing what they're doing. They're full of confidence. 2-1.
Do you know how crazy it is to me to hear I can't see anything but a Birmingham win on a Championship podcast? 10 years we've been awful. That basically sums it up. We'll move on to the next one. A team who were not good on the opening day, Sheffield United, who are away to Swansea. Now this, we weren't. None of us were particularly high on Swansea, but Sheffield United weren't good on the opening day. They made 11 changes in the Carabao Cup, I should say, and we beat them and we battered them. Really, they scored. They had one shot on target and it was from 50 yards. It just happened to go in. Unbelievable goal. But they go. Yeah, I mean Swansea away. On paper, that's one. Again, it's one of those away games you look at. It's like, okay, we can get something here. But Sheffield United. I don't know about you. I'm not convinced.
I mean, I was witness to a Ruben Sayers side last season, and I mentioned it in the previous podcast about how sort of consistently inconsistent he can be. He's probably lost the dressing room already. I mean, the fact that he's given that team talk on the pitch at the end of the game in the Phil Brown style, it just doesn't look good, does it? You can't be doing that first game of this. I know you're losing 4-1. I know you get beat 4-1, but you can't be doing that. Not on the first game of the season. And then to follow it up with another defeat in the Cup, they just look a little bit all over the place, don't they? And Sayers he's lost the plot again today in a press conference I was watching earlier on where he's saying that the club aren't backing him as they said they would be. And he's just not making himself look very good. Obviously, Swansea, off the back of a defeat at Middlesbrough where they weren't particularly good. Middlesbrough weren't particularly good either, but I just fancy Swansea at home. This Sheffield United side under Sayers in a little bit of disarray for me. They need to be very, very careful. But it's the Championship, innit? Anything can happen. And obviously, I've mentioned already that he's consistently inconsistent. I think I have predicted a Swansea win, though. Can't actually remember what I've gone for, but I think I've gone for
He'll be the first manager sacked in the Championship this season.
I'm convinced of it. I think the fact that he's come out and done that on the opening day just makes him look like a fool, doesn't it? I've gone 2-1. I've gone 2-1 Swansea. I just think off the back of that opening day defeat at Middlesbrough, they're not a bad side, Swansea, are they? I think they'll capitalise on this disarray at what's going on at Sheffield United. Sorry, obviously easy mistake to make there. Freudians. There's something in the air in Sheffield, isn't they? But yeah, there's something certainly not quite right. What's going on at Sheffield United either? It's Swansea win.
I was very unimpressed with them against us. Obviously, there's a lot of changes, so I don't draw too much from it. But when I watched the goals Bristol City scored on the opening day, and then I watched how they played against us, I was like, these are different defenders, but they're making the same mistakes, and that points to some questionable coaching or tactical decisions. I don't know how good Swansea are, and that's the only thing that sort of makes me wonder if, like, do Swansea have enough to really capitalise? But then I didn't think Bristol City would have enough to capitalise, and they bodied them. So yeah, I'm gonna say a close Swansea win at home. First home game of the season. It's always a nice atmosphere. I think they should just have enough.
Yeah,
which is strange to say because Sheffield United came into the season off the back of a very impressive season last year.
Yeah,
but they just don't look like the same team. They offered very little, I thought, which was a little worrying.
It's a typical Sayers performance for me. I just think he makes half decent players look bang average.
Yeah,
I'd worry for him under them.
Yeah, I thought obviously they've got the player of the season, Championship player of the season last year, Gus Harmer, who, I mean, he came off the bench against us, looked pretty good, but he can't do it on his own. They obviously have talent, but I don't know. As you say, I don't know if he knows how to use and abuse that talent. I think they're on early watch as like, okay, this is bad. You need to do something probably quite fast to rectify this. But we will move on because that's quite enough of Sheffield United, and we will talk about Derby versus Coventry. I think this is another one where you really get a sense of how good these teams are, because I think Derby is one that there's a lot of variance in how good people think Derby are, whereas I think everyone kind of has the same opinion on Coventry. So we get a sort of look at how good Derby really are. I think is how I look at it.
Yeah, they'll be disappointed after last week conceding a couple of late goals against. Well, all three of them came quite late, really, didn't they? I think they'll be really disappointed with that. Yeah, again, I think obviously I've read a lot on social media and blogs and things like that. I think the Derby fans think they're better than what they are at the moment. Could come good. A lot of them think they're going to be pushing top half, potentially even playoffs. Not sure I see it myself, but to concede 3 goals at Stoke against Stoke like that last week was a bit of a surprise. Coventry, for me, on the other hand, they didn't create a great deal against us last weekend. Never really worried me about losing the game. I know, like I said, touched upon earlier, that we were maybe being accused of slowing the game down at times, but they never created a massive amount. Although in saying that, I do think they've got a bit of quality about them, and they're going to be up there. I think playoffs there or thereabouts. Coventry. I think I've predicted Coventry to bounce back. I say bounce back. They didn't lose, but they would have expected to have won last weekend on the opening day against us. I think they'll maybe turn it around this weekend and actually take their chances. Just a slight Coventry win I've predicted.
Yeah, I think this one is really, really hard to predict. As you say, like Coventry haven't been that impressive, but we're both pretty sure they're going to be good eventually or soon or whatever it is. Like, they're a good team. They're going to be good. Maybe Holledge is better than we thought. But like, I do kind of see the Derby top half thing. I actually do think, I've seen a little bit last week. Obviously, I saw the goals at the end, and that's not going to happen very often. They brought on Dion Sanderson, and I think he looked very, very rusty. He's kind of out of position for the second, and then completely messed up the third. I think they're going to make that sort of. He's not going to make that sort of like double error within 5 minutes again. Like, as much as I don't particularly rate Sanderson, like that sort of thing is a freak accident. It happens on the first game of the season. You wipe it away, and you're like, right, we're at home. Yeah. First, again, like I think first home of the game of the season is such like a boon. And I kind of fancy Derby to get a result here, maybe a 2-1 or I don't know. I just got a feeling that Derby are gonna do them.
It's the Championship, isn't it? Obviously, that's why it's such a competitive, fantastic division to be involved in.
You can predict anything, and you'll be right.
yeah, absolutely.
But we will move on to a game that, again, on paper looks quite easy to predict, but Portsmouth at home to Norwich. Again, that at home is doing a lot of work there, I think.
Yeah. Obviously, we mentioned about Portsmouth form last season at home, and Fratton Park being, the fortress that it is, and they'll want to continue that obviously this season. Good win for them at the start of the season to go away to Oxford and get a result. Obviously, we don't know where either of these sides are going to be at the end of the season, but obviously they'll be buzzing with that to go away first game of the season and actually win. How many games did they win away last season? It won't be many.
It wasn't many, yeah.
No, but obviously there'll be a carnival atmosphere down there at Fratton Park this week, and they'll be buzzing. Hopefully they'll want the sun out, and a lot of Pompey fans down there. I think Norwich will bounce back to a point. They'll be disappointed, and they'll obviously need to respond to show the division their sort of credentials and how they want to be sort of fighting for playoffs and potentially even more. think I've gone for a draw in this one. Portsmouth will want to make them nervous, won't they? They'll want to start off quite early on and get them fans on the back and really put Norwich under pressure. But Norwich do have quality, and there's no doubt in that. I've just got to my predictions. I'm on the wrong page, so yeah, I've gone 2-2. So I think there'll be goals in this, but I do think Portsmouth or Norwich will need to start early, early, to get to sort of get to make sure that the Pompey fans don't get on their backs.
Yeah. So I was thinking before you said 2-2, I was thinking I could see Norwich taking like a 2-0 lead. Like they've got the quality throughout that team. And say I had Norwich. I think I had them 7th in my predictions. Like I'm pretty sure Norwich are going to be good again this year. But I can see them getting an early lead, and then that just as soon as Portsmouth score one, you just fancy them to get another because that place is going to be a cauldron when like you concede, like the pressure of that is just you're just going to feel it. And I know that's not particularly like insightful analysis, but sometimes that's what it comes down to. Like it does just come down to feel the pressure of that noise. And you say first home game of the season, we're going to keep bringing it up because it does make a difference. There is just a charge in the air, and it feels sometimes like anything can happen. I kind of foresee a draw as well. Portsmouth were good at home last year. It's not an easy game for Norwich, and they don't seem like they're quite at full capacity yet. No. So fancy Portsmouth to get at least a point and have a really, really good day, if nothing else.
Yeah,
because that place will be buzzing. We'll move on to the next game on the list, which I have down as Bristol City versus Charlton. Now, obviously, Bristol City coming off the back of 4-1 win, pretty sure they're top of the league.
Yeah.
Versus another team who also had a pretty big win on their opening day. I mean, Charlton came late, but I was pretty high on Charlton coming into the season. I don't think they did anything to sort of make me look foolish yet.
No. I mean, Charlton obviously digging in and getting that result. Obviously, the debutant, what's his Nibs who got the winner.
Harvey Nibs, yeah.
He comes and gets the winner. It's a nice confidence booster for him going into the season. They look all right. They look all right. Then they obviously Bristol City. They wouldn't have even suspected they were going to do that to Sheffield United. But obviously, we spoke about Sheffield United. We don't know how good or not they're going to be. But yeah, cracking start for Bristol City. Promises to be quite an entertaining tie, this one, doesn't it? They're both going to be full of confidence. Obviously, depends how Charlton go. Because if Bristol City are going to be on the counter attack again, they're going to be quite dangerous. Obviously, Nathan Jones got Charlton playing, so I think it'll be another draw. I've got a draw again. I've got 1-1.
I think this one's so hard to predict. I don't know how much stock to put in Bristol City scoring 4 and how much to blame that on Sheffield United conceding 4. Because I say when you watch those goals, I mean the free kick was a stunner.
Yeah,
nothing you can do about that. But the others, I'm like, I look at that defending and I'm like, can you do that every week? Bristol City, I'm not sure, because Charlton will not be that open. They will not. They will defend for their lives when they have to. Like they are a well-coached team, but they're also going away from home in the Championship. That is not like their home form. I mean, they're exceptional at home and they're pretty good away last season, but this is a step up, and I can kind of see Bristol City nicking it, but I think it will be close because I do think Charlton are a good team and they will actually keep it pretty tight and make it an interesting one. But yeah, you say it promises to be an interesting. Like I say that you could tell me that game is going to finish with any result, and I'd sort of be like, yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, it's both going to be full of confidence. So you'd imagine both teams will go for it. Really, it could be quite an open one.
Yeah. Although Charlton did score a lot of goals at the back end of last season, but they were quite miserly early on in the season. And to say they weren't exactly free flowing last week, but that'll suit them down to the ground.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Millwall versus Middlesbrough, which it seems like two teams who have aspirations of playoffs, but on the sort of like what I saw last week, I'm not sure I'm not convinced by Middlesbrough. I think Millwall are pretty good, but I'm really not convinced by Middlesbrough.
I think obviously the Millwall one, they didn't score many goals last season, so to get a win against Norwich on the opening day and scoring twice in that, it's going to set them full of confidence. Obviously, going home to the Den, it's going to be another place where it's going to be a sort of cauldron style atmosphere down there. I think it'll be a tight game. I do think it'll be a tight game, but obviously Middlesbrough getting that result against Swansea, they're going to be fairly confident going down there to get a result, but. I think, like what you just said, I think Millwall just show they've probably got a little bit more at this stage. Certainly at home as well. I've got Millwall to just edge this. I've gone 2-1 again.
I think Millwall will win quite handily. I can't remember what I put in my predictions, and I probably disagree with my own prediction now if I look back at it. I think Millwall will win this like 2-3-0. To be honest, I'm really not convinced by Borough, and I think Millwall are so hard to play against, and if they can start scoring some goals, they will be a very difficult team to stop and will be around those playoffs. Whether or not they'll be in it, obviously time will tell, but I think come the end of the season we'll be looking at Millwall up there and not Middlesbrough as
I'd agree.
My opinion. We're both in agreement there. The Millwall will win. We'll move on to Preston North End versus Leicester, which Leicester were unimpressive last week. Is the word I'm going to go? I'm going to go with unimpressive last week. I expected a lot more out of them. They left it very, very late to beat a Sheffield Wednesday team that has, I think, 7 senior pros on the book. Preston North End have significantly more senior pros on the books and are traditionally a difficult team to beat.
Yeah.
Are you with me on this, that you're sort of seeing the vision where it's like this is not going to be easy at all for Leicester?
I think it's going to be a tough game for them. I think they'll show a little bit more than they did last week, though, because I'm wondering if a lot of the Sheff Wednesday game from last week, a lot of that was down to Sheff Wednesday just trying to get a little bit of that nervousness and all of that sort of apprehension for the season ahead off their back, and really just trying to go for it and get a result, really. But Preston, obviously, I didn't really see much of the Preston against QPR game. As obviously, it's not a game you want to be looking at, really, is it? It's not. It's not going to be an exciting one. Obviously, like you've already touched upon, Leicester left it late against Sheff Wednesday, but I don't know. I just think they might have a little bit too much for Preston this week. They might show a little bit of their quality. It's going to be a real test of their aspirations, isn't it, this week? Obviously, they need to back up that win. But I just think they play their game this week and they win quite comfortably. I'm going to go 3-1.
Yeah, as much as I built it up, the flip side of that is I'm not convinced Preston are particularly good. Whereas, like, as much as I think Leicester did struggle a bit last week against a Sheffield Wednesday team that we expect to be, rock bottom of the table, I don't expect Preston to be much higher than rock bottom. Like, I think they'll be bottom 6, probably, maybe bottom 8, maybe. Like, and I don't look at their team and I don't look at the Preston team and worry. And I think Leicester will just sort of go out and express themselves a bit, even away from home. They'll go out and express themselves, and
they just play their game. I think they come past that Preston side quite comfortably. The one thing you say about Preston, they don't score a lot, but they don't concede a lot, so they are tough to beat. But I don't know. I just think Leicester will have too much from this weekend.
Yes, I have talked myself into agreeing. Speaking of Sheffield Wednesday, we will go on to them next. They play Stoke at home, who surprised me, actually. I thought Stoke looked very good, or at least a lot better than I expected. And I immediately watched a little bit of them and was like, oh, I've severely misread Stoke, I think, this year. They look like a top half team against what we say. We don't expect Sheffield Wednesday to be much cop just because of the situation they're in. I foresee quite a comfortable Stoke victory.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think a lot of that first game, like I've already touched upon, is probably Sheffield Wednesday showing some bit of heart and a bit of determination, trying to show up for the fans, really. But it's not going to carry him. It's not going to carry him very far, is it? Obviously, Stoke beating Derby 3-1. Obviously, the goals coming late on, but they played some decent football, man. They look good. And like you said, they did impress me as well. They'll be keen to get on board Sheffield Wednesday, won't they? At Hillsborough, they'll want the fans on side, and they'll want to start nice and bright and early. But I don't think Stoke are going to let them. I've got a comfortable 2-0 Stoke win in my predictions.
The thing with Wednesday is their starting lineup is pretty fine. It's all right, but it's like as soon as Stoke go to that bench and start bringing in like extra weapons, it's like you look at the Sheffield Wednesday bench, like there's nothing, and they're gonna tire, and Stoke are just gonna sort of pass rings around them in the second half, I think, and it'll be sort of like 2-3-0, I suspect. And it's a shame to see a club like Sheffield Wednesday reduced to, oh yeah, you're going to lose 3-0 at home to Stoke, and you're going to be happy with it. What more can you say? Like
the fans deserve more, don't they? It's not a good look. It's not a good look for football generally, and obviously, Sheffield Wednesday. You talk about Sheffield Wednesday, and they're a bloody big club, aren't they? And it's and to see the fans going through this, it's just not right.
Yeah, I know what it's like to support a team with owners that are deadbeat and there's no hope. And thankfully, we never got quite to the level that Wednesday are at. But you just feel bad for them. It's like you feel bad as well for the senior pros who have to go out there and represent. You feel horrific for the fans, and it's like it's just a shame. Like there's no analysis to really be done.
There's no words for it. It just should not be happening in this. It just shouldn't be happening, and it's just like it's a massive shame that it's happening with the stature of Sheffield Wednesday.
I'm trying to find the words to describe it without getting us demonetised, and it's proving very difficult. So we will move on to the Cifuentes derby, final game on our list, 3:00 kickoff on Saturday, which is Watford versus QPR. It's not the Cifuentes derby. I don't know why I said that. He's at Leicester, isn't he?
Yeah.
Ignore that, because Watford manager is Paolo Pezzolano, who I believe it was sent in our sort of group chat for this. There's a tweet saying this is a big game, potentially a big game for him. He's already on the chopping block. This is why I asked you about Ruben Sellers earlier, because maybe Paolo Pezzolano is going to go first.
Well, it's Watford, isn't it? How many managers they had in the last 5 years? About 350 or something like that. It's bonkers, isn't it? I think there's a reason that this is our last game. It doesn't inspire me. It doesn't excite me. Watford looked not very good last week. Didn't play a great deal of decent football. I thought Charlton deservedly won that game in the end. QPR, like I said, I didn't watch their game against Preston. I probably won't keep much tabs on this one. And I've gone for a 0-0.
I think QPR are sneakily pretty decent. I like the look of their front four. If they can keep them fit, which is going to be the difficult bit. They've all had injuries, like relatively significant injuries in the last year. But we know how good Elias Chair is.
Yeah.
Poku, he's electric. Richard Kone at the start of last year in League One was unplayable before he got his injury, and then things went a bit awry.
Is he still injured as well, Connor?
I think he's fit now, but he had like a bad injury and they brought him back a bit soon, I think, and they changed manager and he went completely off the boil. But I don't know how much of that is him and how much of that is like the injury, because when I've seen him play, I've been like, yeah, he's got something about him. Like he doesn't look like a League One footballer in the nicest way possible. I think QPR might sneakily be quite good this year, and I think they might finish sort of 11th, 10th, and with a bit of a like outside shot at the playoffs. But he's sort of flirting with it without ever really going. I don't know. I just like the look of that front four. I like the look of the manager. Not in that way. You know what I mean? I think he looks like an interesting manager. I think they're going to play some nice stuff. Like I say, Poku, he's a fun player to watch. Kone, if Kone is the player we saw for the first half of last season, he is a championship level footballer, and they've got pockets of quality throughout that squad. And I'm going to look really stupid when they lose 2-0 to Watford this week. But
I mean,
it's the nature of the business.
It's another one of them, isn't it? I mean, it's another one we'll say it's a championship game, and this could be any result, and you wouldn't be surprised by it at the end.
You could, but I think Watford are quite. Yeah, I'm not high on Watford at all. They're really not high on Watford. I think I had them 21st in my season preview, and I've not. Again, only won games, but didn't do much to dissuade me.
I can't remember where I put them. Pretty low, though, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much excitement there, is there? I mean, it's just, yeah. We're ending on this, and we've probably spoken the most about it.
I think the Swansea game got quite a bit covered.
What did you go with in this? What was your prediction?
I can't remember what I said, but I'm going to say on here, like, QPR 2-0.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with 0-0, I think.
I really think Watford might sack their manager like next week.
Yeah. But expect.
And I don't even think it's necessarily his fault. I just think they say wherever you are in England, you're never more than 100 meters away from a guy who used to be Watford manager. Yeah. On that note, that's our predictions, and feel free to mock us come Monday morning when we've got every single one horrifically wrong.
Yeah.
And
Watford
have won 4-0. Hull have got battered. Wrexham have smashed West Brom, and Ollie is still a div.
Thank
you very much for joining us. We'll
guys.
be back next week, probably a little earlier in the week, depending on when we find time to record. But yes, enjoy your weekend and hope your team wins.
Yeah, unless you're Oxford.